Welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to teach you how to save a bad day. When your day is completely off the rails and you don't know what to do, I'm going to teach you exactly how to bring yourself back to a calm, cool, collected state so that you can finish the day off strong. Let's dive in. Today, I'm going to teach you what to do when shit hits the fan. And basically, I'm going to explain it with my own life, how I used this the other day. And this is kind of like an SOS plan. I think it's important for every person who's out there to create an SOS plan, which is when my day goes off the rails, I will do this. Because just because you have a bad morning or a bad moment doesn't mean that it has to be a bad day. Any day can be saved depending on how you show up in those moments. And so, it's great because now that we have a newborn, I feel like I'm getting all of this great content where the universe is trying to trigger me and show me where I need to grow and get better in lessons, which is in turn creating better podcast episodes in my mind. So the other night, I didn't get to bed at the normal time because the baby just decided he did not want to go to sleep. And normally what happens is we go to bed earlier, and then Lauren usually wakes up twice throughout the night to feed him. She pumps, and then at 5:30, she usually wakes me up and I feed him. And she goes back to bed and she sleeps for another 4 or 5 hours. And so I usually take him in the mornings, run my morning huddles with him, with the team, all of that stuff. So the other night, Lauren woke me up, or the morning, I guess, Lauren woke me up at 5:30 to feed the baby. And normally what I do is I feed him and burp him, and usually I'm able to go back to sleep after, put him back to sleep. We go back to sleep in the nursery for, usually another hour to an hour and a half is what I get. So I get, pretty decent amounts of sleep. For some reason, the night before, he didn't want to go to sleep, so we went to bed late. The morning that I woke up at 5:30, he didn't want to go back to sleep after eating like he normally does. So he just wanted to party all morning. And so there was no falling back asleep for me. And he falls asleep in his bassinet. And usually the only way that he'll fall asleep is if somebody's holding him and then you put him down. Anytime I put him down, he ended up wanting to, cry so that I would pick him back up and hold him. And so I was up from 5:30 on with very little sleep. And I run a morning huddle with my entire team at 9 a.m. And so normally what I do is I feed him right before, and then he sleeps out throughout the entire thing. On this day, he decided, hey, I want to be part of the morning huddle. I don't want to fall asleep this time. And at 9:15, I'm just going to pee on you. And so 9:15, I'm running the team meeting. He pees, somehow it gets out of, so much it leaks out. So I'm sitting there in the morning huddle, running it for 25 people, and I've got pee on my shirt for another 45 minutes. And then he just decides, because he's got pee on him, he's going to start crying. And he's not having a great morning. He's just not. And for some reason this morning, the mute button on my Zoom is not working. So since 5:30, everything that could go wrong has basically gone wrong. And then, my trainer gets there at 9 a.m. The person in our family who's supposed to come in and watch him and be there at 10 doesn't get there till 10:30. So I've got to figure out a way to go and get my workout in, have him there. He's crying. He's hungry. Just shit is just hitting the fan, and it's all over the walls, basically, is the way that this morning is going. And I want to tell you this. Just because you're having a bad morning doesn't mean that you're going to have a bad day. And so I could feel myself throughout the entire morning progressively getting more and more triggered, right? Progressively like, oh my God, getting a little bit more angry, a little bit more frustrated. And the thing I love about life and all of this is people listen to this podcast and they like, oh, this guy must have it all figured out. He must be perfect because he's the mindset mentor. No, that's not me. I'm a guy who's just been working on himself for 19 years, and I just continue to keep having ways that God or the universe or life shows me where I'm not free, where I'm triggered, so that I can figure out ways to get better at it. And the more that I learn about myself and I start to work through these things and figure out what works, I like to teach it so I can help you guys get through it as well. And I can feel my nervous system really getting all out of whack. And I want to tell you this, if you can feel it, other people around you can feel it as well. If you can feel your nervous system starting to get really unregulated, a little bit crazy, and you feel stressed, you feel anxious, whatever it might be, I guarantee you other people can feel it as well. And one of the greatest gifts that you can give this world is a regulated nervous system. People can sense it when they're around you, when your nervous system is all out of whack, when you're stressed, when you're anxious, when you're mad, when you're sad, whatever it might be, people can feel it. And they might not be able to even consciously be aware of it, but they can subconsciously sense what's going on with you, that something's not right. And they might think that it's your problem. They might think that it's something that they did wrong, but they can definitely tell when talking to you that something is wrong. And you might think that you hide it very well, but I'm just telling you, you don't. You don't. None of us do. Because it's not about hiding it. It's not the conscious mind kind of thing. It is the way that our bodies interact with each other. And so this morning's going on, and I have a lot going on, and it's about 12:30, 1 o'clock-ish on this day. And Lauren comes up to me, and she's like, "How are you doing?" And I was like, it's just one of those days. And I realized in that moment in my response, I was like, that's not how I want to show up for her. And that's not how I want to show up for anybody else around me. That's not how I want to show up for my son, that I'm just, disconnected. So I kind of told her what was going on and just, let her know. And I was like, but I don't want to feel this way. Because I don't want to show up for you this way. I also don't want to show up for our son this way. Because I know, there's studies that prove that a baby's newborn, especially a newborn, but a baby's nervous system is learning how to operate from the nervous systems of their primary caretakers. And so if my nervous system is all out of whack, it's going to be communicating with his nervous system that is learning the world through my nervous system. Hey, real quick, I want to introduce you to something called Mindset Mentor Plus. If you love this podcast, you will absolutely love what I'm about to talk about. I designed Mindset Mentor Plus to help you actively integrate every one of these episodes into your life. And here's how it works. With every episode of this podcast that comes out, Mindset Mentor Plus subscribers get more. You're going to get multiple page, detailed printable worksheets, effectively a mini masterclass that's way more in depth than just this podcast. They also come with journaling questions, challenges, assignments, and so much more, so that you're not just listening to these podcasts passively, but you're actively integrating them into your life. That way you improve much faster. I also do monthly Q&A sessions in there and much, much more. If you want to learn more about it, go to mindsetmentor.com or click the link that's down in the description. They basically say that there's 3 trimesters that a baby has, and there's a 4th trimester, which is the 4 months or the 3 months after they come out of the womb. So he's still in that period. So I'm thinking to myself, I need to regulate this shit. I need to really get it together. I need to calm myself down. And so Lauren did this thing that we do. And when we notice, and this is a tip I'm really going to give a lot of you guys, if you have children, if you have a spouse, if you have a significant other, parents that you're close to, is our nervous systems regulate each other's nervous systems. And I'll actually give you some studies to prove this to you. So what she did is when we notice that our nervous systems are not regulated the way we want them to be, is we give each other a long hug. It's a belly to belly, at least 30-second hug. And this is something that we do to help each other regulate our nervous systems. We've been doing it for about 9 years now. And a lot of times when you don't feel, this is good for when your nervous system's out of whack, but it's also really good for if you don't feel connected to your partner. Maybe you're both busy. You both have a whole lot of stuff going on and it doesn't feel like you're fully connecting. One of the best things you can do is to actually do a belly to belly hug for at least 30 seconds and then do deep breathing. What actually happens is your nervous system and their nervous system will start to link up and calm each other down. Your heart rates will start to link up and slow down, and your breath will actually link up and slow down as well. So it activates what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, the sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. That's what I was on all day long when all of that stuff was happening. The parasympathetic nervous system is like calm, sleep, restore, and calm is the best way of putting it. So when you do these belly-to-belly hugs, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. It synchronizes both of your heart rates. It synchronizes and slows down both of your breathing patterns. And it also releases oxytocin, which is called the cuddle chemical. It's the chemical of love. And so when you do this 30-second or more, which if you get nothing else from this podcast episode, just do 30-second hugs with your significant others and your children more often. But, basically what happened was that all of that happened. I started to calm my nervous system down. This is what I do with her whenever I notice that her nervous system's out of whack. We've been doing it for a really long time at this point. And then what I did was I slid some things around. I looked at my schedule and I was like, I'm not going to have a crazy morning affect the rest of my day? I was like, I've still got a good amount of the day. And so I slid some things around in my schedule because it is that important to me to slide things around, to regulate my nervous system, to change the way that I'm showing up. So I changed some things. I slid some things around in my schedule, and I did a 20-minute break. I found 20 minutes that I could slide in my schedule, and I went onto YouTube and I did breath work. And I do breath work on YouTube every single morning, at least once. And guess what? That morning, I wasn't able to do it. I was like, oh, I forgot to do this. Everything was going crazy. So it's deep inhales, deep exhales, and it's 3 rounds of it with breath holds and all that stuff. But with every long breath hold that you do, you when you eventually breathe it back out, you hum or you om. So it's either with your mouth closed, or it's oh with your mouth open. Why would you want to do the humming or the oming? Well, there's been many studies that have shown that the humming or the oming actually changes your internal state as well. So there was a study that investigated the impact of chanting om, just oh, for as long as you possibly can. They had the people who did the om, and they had people that were just a control group that did not. And the people who did the om chanting showed significant reductions in their heart rate and perceived stress levels compared to the control group. And the repetitive sound vibrations during the chanting found to promote relaxation and a calm state of mind. Then what they did was they did MRIs, functional MRIs, to observe their brain activity while they were doing the om chanting. And the om showed to increase activation in areas of the brain that were emotional regulation, and they reduced the activity in the limbic system, which is linked to stress and anxiety. So they found basically that om chanting can help induce a state of calm by modulating the brain regions that were involved with stress responses. So if you also get nothing else besides the 30 seconds, whenever you get stressed, just do a whole bunch of humming or a whole bunch of oming. The vibration of the oming or the humming also stimulates what's called the vagus nervous system. And the vagus nerve, is a critical part of the parasympathetic nervous system. And so it stimulates with the movement inside of your throat and inside of your body. It stimulates the vagus nerve, which is a really big part of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calm, cool, collected, chill side of your nervous system. So this is really important for all of us to know is that when shit hits the fan, we can still save ourselves. And so the idea is when we find ourselves in a state of stress, in a state of fight or flight, how do we bring ourselves back to calm, cool, collected? Well, this is really important for everyone to really have a plan with, is to have an SOS plan. When I notice myself feeling this way, here's how I'm going to get myself back to the state I want to be in. Because when you're in that state, you're not thinking clearly when you're that stressed out. You're not. And there's studies that show that when you're stressed out, when your emotions are high, your logic is low, and it actually turns off blood flow, major amounts of blood flow, to the prefrontal cortex of your brain, which is the executive functioning, the thinking parts of your brain. So you're not thinking clearly whenever you feel this way. And so you can't really say, oh, I don't have enough time. Make time. You will be better for it, and you will show up better for others as well. For me, like, I'll just kind of tell you this. For the rest of the day, after I did that 20-minute session and I gave myself the space, I was a different person. And everything was back to just that feeling. There's no words for it. It's just the feeling of like, just a deep breath, right? And the important thing for me is it got me back to my normal state of thinking, which is I believe personally that life, God, the universe, whatever it is out there is on my side. I believe that I will not be given more than I can handle. And when I'm in those stressed out states, I'm like, I don't know if I can handle it. I've gotten those, I don't know if you get those feelings of like, oh my God, is this too much for me, right? But it got me to calm, cool, collected. I could start thinking well. Everything was starting to work right. And I realized like, hey, your life is amazing. Like this is just a tiny little speed bump. You will not remember this day in 5 years. You won't remember these little teeny tiny speed bumps in 5 years. And, I won't be given more than I can handle. And when it's a day like it was the other day, it's basically like life adding a couple plates on the mental barbell to help me grow and get stronger mentally. So if I trust that life, whatever it is that's out there that's kind of keeping this whole thing together, is on my side, then it's not going to give me more than I can handle. So basically it's giving me this so that I can learn, that I can grow, so I can mentally get stronger, so I can use these things on myself and then go, you know what, this is something that I do. Maybe I should teach this on the podcast and hopefully help you guys. I trust that I'm safe. I trust that everything's working out for me. And I believe there's something out there that's looking out for me. And so what happened was I did all this and it was a complete reset for me. I didn't let the first half of the day affect the back half of the day. I didn't let all those little teeny tiny things that were happening affect the back half of the day. And I started to have, it was a full reset. I was better at work. I was better around my team. I had great team calls. I was able to connect with my wife in between those calls and be present and not be a negative Nancy. I was able to take my son from her and be calm, cool, and collected and help him regulate his nervous system. And so I just wanted to bring this up for you guys to all understand, like, when you start to have, like, for me, I know I got to go to breath work and I've got to go to the oming. Like, that just works for me. It might work for you, it might not, but what's important is that you find what works for you and you keep it like a tool in your tool belt, so when stuff does go a little bit crazy, you can kind of bring yourself back to the state that you want to be in, so that you can make the right decisions, so that you can be as present, so that you're not affecting other people in a negative way around you, and also so that you're not a negative Nancy. So that's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, please share it on your Instagram stories. Tag me in at Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. Also, if you love this podcast, you're definitely going to love Mindset Mentor Plus. I designed Mindset Mentor Plus to help you integrate every single one of these episodes into your life. And for every single episode of the Mindset Mentor that comes out, Mindset Mentor Plus subscribers get a whole lot more. You'll get multiple page detailed worksheets that you can print out, effectively mini masterclasses for every single episode. That's way more in depth than just the episodes. They come with journaling questions. They come with stuff to underline, highlight. They come with assignments that come from it, so you can start integrating every episode into your life so that you and your life can improve faster. This is also where I do my monthly Q&A sessions, which you probably heard a couple episodes ago. I was, had some questions that were really good from the Q&As that I ended up doing episodes on. And so if you want to learn more about it, it is mindsetmentor.com. If you go there, you can check it out, see if it's right for you. And it is way, way less than $1 a day. I wanted to make it the most affordable that I could to try to impact as many people of you guys that are out there to really, really integrate every episode of this podcast so you can start to change your life. So once again, it is mindsetmentor.com. And with that, I'm going to leave you the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make somebody else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day.